I want to talk to you guys about like what's been going on. And the thing of it is, I feel like I owe this to people because I feel like I owe this to people because I've been bringing big tech onto the streams, and some of you have had mixed feelings about it. And I want to just explain a little bit about my thought process, and then I want to show you why the big tech era is absolutely fucking over. And maybe this will just like put the nail in the coffin of the whole thing. So I became familiar with big tech back like in October, basically. I think it was September, October, something like that. When I was kind of like getting involved with like where Nick Fuentes had said something nice about me on his show. All the Groypers were starting to surround me. I got kind of pulled into different Groyper stuff with like Beardson and Wurzelroot, and then they came and they disrupted my Socialism Saturday. I got pissed off about that. There was a whole big back and forth, and then big tech kind of slid into my DMs at that time and was like, why don't you come on my show and talk to me? And I was like, okay. Like, I didn't know any of these people. Yeah. Well, this is my mistake. So I talked to him on a show, didn't really think much of it. And then, later in the year, there was some banter going on, and we had this like fake internet, like the fake internet romance sort of thing. And it was just kind of fun, and it was playful banter. And I had gone back at that time, back in December when I took kind of like my staycation. I had gone back at that time, and I had watched just a bunch of old content from Big Tech, from Politically Provoked, Brittany and Mio, from all the characters involved in like the Big Tech saga with his, because I mean, I think people know this. Thank you, Nick. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, you were right. Yeah, you guys were right. Anyway, back in December, I had gone back and watched a whole bunch of content to figure out like what the fuck actually happened with Big Tech and Cozy, because he used to be on Cozy, he used to be on Nick's platform, and then there was a lot of drama and there was a big breakup. And so I went back and watched a whole bunch of stuff because I like to know for myself what's going on. I don't want any interpretation from Brittany and Mio and Beardson. I don't want any of that. I don't even want any interpretation from Big Tech, to be honest. I want to know for myself what happened. And so I went back and I watched what the fuck caused this epic breakup at the time. And lo and behold, I 100% came down on Big Tech's side. 100%. And that hasn't changed, by the way. I think that he was screwed over by Brittany. Well, more so by Mio. Kind of by Brittany, too. Brittany, at the same time as she was screwing over Big Tech, was sending nudes to Beardson, we now know. And so, like, essentially, like, I saw what happened regarding his breakup with Cozy, and I really felt like he got a raw deal. And I have some experience with getting a raw deal on the internet, okay? So this was something like I identified with. I was like, oh shit, the things that they did to him, they've also done to me. There's also all this stuff that like, basically the same types of trolls that have come after me were coming after him, and stuff that's happened in his personal life and regarding like his ex-wife and stuff like that. And I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to get dragged into that. Suffice it to say, I felt like after I watched a bunch of this content, I was like, he's been through some of the same shit I have. And I understand that. And I really do feel for people who have been through that sort of thing, because there like aren't that many of us that I think understand it. And so I was like, that kind of sucks, but it was also like an opportunity to talk to someone who had been through something similar to what I had been through and all this stuff. So kind of fast forward, and he and I had been talking a lot, and he red pilled me on the JQ, and we're not really going to talk about that. And I was actually pretty grateful to him for that. I was pretty grateful for him for like walking me through kind of his thought process and how he sees the world, because and listen, I'm not going to try to convince anyone of anything. People can believe whatever they want. I don't really care. But like I really like when he red pilled me on the JQ, the Jewish question. Like it actually brought me a ton of peace, because I was thinking back to like to what had happened to me with the whole Hitler went to heaven tweet, when I basically like I was trolling a little bit. I wanted to piss people off, but like when I tweeted Hitler went to heaven, literally all I meant was like, there is no hell. Like, I don't believe that hell exists, so no one can go there. I believe God's love is unconditional, so that means everyone gets into heaven. It doesn't really matter what they do in life. You could be the most, like, the whole point of it was like the worst possible person in the world can still get into heaven. And of course, that was took completely out of context, and my entire life was turned upside down, and I had just a boatload of bullshit dropped on me over like one tweet out of a 2-hour spiritual discussion getting taken out of context and just twisted to mean something it didn't mean. I never said anything about the Holocaust. I never said anything like anyway, it sucked. It really sucked. And for the longest time I was like looking at that and I was like, what the fuck did I do that was wrong? Like, what the fuck did I do to deserve that? I don't think I'm a bad person. I don't think I'm doing any of this stuff. And so when he kind of like red pilled me on the JQ, that actually brought me a bunch of peace, to be honest. It was like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Oh, okay. Now I understand. I inadvertently kicked a hornet's nest. I didn't know what I was doing, and now I understand. And so I was actually pretty grateful to him for that. And I also knew that he and this is something he talked about publicly, so I feel like anything he says publicly I can talk about publicly. And he may not like that, but I don't really give a fuck anymore. Um so he had talked about publicly how he didn't like the content he was doing. He didn't like being sucked into like the drama and all that stuff, and he wanted to transition over to doing something else that was like more fulfilling to him. Well, good, like I have that experience too. And so like I again, it was like one of those things. It was like I was looking at him and I'm like, I've been down the road you're going. I know where it goes. Let me help you get to where you're going. Cause I feel like I went through this whole kind of transition stage where I was doing a certain type of content and I was miserable doing a certain type of content. And so now I transitioned over into doing just these deep dives into the far left most of the time. And I'm much happier doing that. And I have a much better audience doing that. And I have much more niche doing that. And I just like, I like it so much more. And so it's one of those things where I was like, I've been down the road you're going. I know where it goes. Like, let me try to help you. And you know, so that's kind of like why I was like hanging around, because like I can see sometimes potential in people that they can't see themselves. I think that this comes out of me being in the coaching space for so long, and I was like, on the streams I had watched of his, like there was so much good about what he was doing. I was like, this guy could actually be fucking great. Like he just needs to like decouple himself from this, but he's got to do that in his own time. So I was just kind of like hanging around trying to like support him, trying to introduce him to new audiences, trying to give him opportunities to do different types of content, all that stuff. Well, I thought, I think mistakenly, that this was like a good faith kind of like, I don't know if we call it a friendship or an allyship or whatever that was developing between him and I. I was learning a lot from him. We had some great conversations and all that stuff. And now I kind of look back on it and I was like, that motherfucker was manipulating me the entire fucking time. Maybe not the entire fucking time, but so here's essentially the too long didn't read. You guys know that he and I have basically been fighting for the last fucking week. If you'll notice, there was no part 4 of the Century of the Self. We had been doing a multi-part series about the Century of the Self, where we watched 3 parts of it. In the third part, he called me a retard over and over and over again. He was completely dismissive of all the points I was making. He wasn't contributing productively to the conversation. I felt like I had to do the whole fucking thing myself and basically drag him along with me. And I was really goddamn upset at the end. I was like really upset at the end. And I was like, I like for many different reasons. Um, he didn't like that I was upset, but like he also didn't think the reason he didn't like that I was upset was not that he he was like, maybe we could have both acted a little bit better. It was not there was no acceptance of accountability on his part. None. And so he and I talked the next day privately, and I'm not going to reveal like the extent of like private conversations because I don't think that that's appropriate. But he and I talked the next day, and basically he tried to blame the whole fucking thing on me, and he tried to make me feel like I was responsible for all of it, and he wouldn't take responsibility for any of it. And even then, I'm like, I'm trying my best because I want this to be like a cordial relationship. I want this to like work out. And I'm like tiptoeing into every Like, I'm trying to tiptoe around this entire thing to try to find a way to smooth this over so that he and I can still have some sort of productive collaborative relationship, right? And I feel, guys, you have never seen me on my best behavior in my life, like this much in my life. I swear to God. His contribution out of that conversation was, Carlin, why don't you just be more receptive to the things that I'm saying? Why don't you just essentially, here's what he wanted. He wanted me to be like the smart girl in math class that acts dumb to get the help of the boy. He wanted me to be like the girl that's like, that knows completely how to do calculus, but then goes up to the boy in class and goes, I just don't understand the homework. Can you help me do the homework, smart boy? Like, that's what he fucking wanted from me. He wanted me to not question him at all. He wanted me to just take everything that he was saying at like face value. He wanted me to just like, yeah, well, yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Yep, I don't play that fucking game either. I have never played the stupid girl in my life. I've never been the stupid girl in my life, and I've certainly never played the stupid girl in my life in order to get the approval of a fucking boy. But that's what he wanted. And so I was kind of like, you know, if this is what is going to be required to get him to level the fuck out and act like an adult, fine, I'll play this game for a minute. So then I did the stream on my channel that you guys saw last week, where I basically was like, and I did not want to do this stream, but I felt like I had to in order to calm you guys down, because you guys were really pissed off at him, right? And believe me, like, I heard about you guys being pissed off at him for what he pulled on that fucking stream. And so I was like, okay, if we're going to continue with this and have it be a productive relationship, I need to calm my audience down and get them to just drop it and move on. So then I did the stream from my hotel in Detroit, where I was basically like, don't be mad at him, just let it go and all that stuff. Now, I didn't want, like, I'm really glad that I did the incel part of that stream, because that part of the stream was really good. And I was really happy about that. I really regret doing the first part of the stream where I basically tried to put all the responsibility on myself just to get him to calm the fuck down, when I don't think I did anything wrong. And I don't think it was actually my fault. I think he came into the week 3 stream for Century of the Self, and I think he wanted to snipe at me, and I think he wanted to demean me to entertain his fucking audience. That's exactly what I think happened. And so, again, I was trying to do my very best behavior to try to smooth things out to get things back to a productive place with him. Well, let me tell you what happened after that. So he took that stream and he played the first part of it for his audience, basically to say, look, Carlin admitted that it was all her fault and it was not my fault and you should not be mad at me. Like, he played the first one. He didn't touch any of the incel part of it where I was objecting to his characterization of that. Nope, we're not going to show that to our audience. We're only going to play the first part and say, look, Carlin is saying that I did nothing wrong and I didn't, and I'm completely innocent and I did nothing wrong and so he did that. Fine, he's allowed to do whatever he wants. So that stream happened on Friday. The next day, I'm in Detroit. I'm in Detroit for AFPAC. I was really nervous about AFPAC. And you guys know this. Like, I was so nervous about going to this event. I was like, I didn't know if the Groypers were going to like me. I didn't know if they were going to accept me. I didn't know if they were going to call me names. I didn't know if it was going to be like a thing. I didn't know like what was going to happen. So I was really nervous. So earlier in the day, I had gone to lunch with Mark Meets World, who is a trans like activist, but against transing minors. And so I'd gone to lunch with someone and we had a great time. And then after the lunch, I decided to just take a walk because like I knew like I wasn't feeling safe necessarily going out in Detroit, but like I was like, I'm at a really nice hotel on the waterfront. The convention center is right down the goddamn street. Like, how bad could this neighborhood be? Like, I literally just wanted to take like a couple blocks of a walk after lunch to like, just to do it. And so I left the hotel and I started walking down the street. Oh, actually, I have to go back. I have to go back. I have to tell you this part of the story. So after Big Tech did the stream where he like used my stream to say, look, audience, Carlin is saying I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. So later that night, we had gotten into a discussion, and like the discussion was one of those things that was like inconsequential. And again, it was like, and I don't even I don't even remember the subject of the discussion. What I do remember about the discussion is he again kind of defaulted to this place where he was like, Carlin, just accept what I'm saying. Just listen to what I'm saying. Don't question me. Just accept what I'm saying. And I was so tired that I actually literally fell asleep with the phone in my hand in the middle of this discussion. And I was kind of like, whatever. Okay, fine. So there had been that like another like back and forth where he just wanted me to play the dumb girl and just accept whatever he was saying at face value and not question him at all. That's what I fell asleep to on Friday night. So Saturday comes around, do this lunch, and I'm going for a walk just to kind of like clear my head or whatever. Well, let me tell you what, I should definitely not have left my hotel in Detroit. And listen, I say this with like all due respect. I will never judge people by the color of their skin ever. But being in Detroit and what happened to me next made me like 100% more racist than when I entered Detroit. Because like, so I'm walking up down the streets. First of all, there's no one on the streets except for like drug addicted black people. And we're talking like I walked 2 blocks up from my hotel, and all I'm seeing are like fucking like drug users that are black all over the streets. And I'm like, holy shit, this is not safe at all. So I turn around and I start walking back. When I'm walking back, the first thing that happened is I like, again, like there's no one else on the street. I ran into this like black person that was doing push-ups in the middle of a sidewalk, like next to an empty parking lot. And I'm seeing this from like a block away. And I'm like, and if I stay on this path, I'm going to walk right by this person and there's no one else around. And like every part of my head was like, cross the fucking street right now. And then in my head, I'm trying to like the old liberal inside of me is like trying to override this. It's like, Carlin, it's really racist that you think you should be crossing the street right now. But I was like, no, fuck you. Cross. I had to override my liberal programming to say, cross the fucking street right now. Like every part of my survival mechanism was like, get the fuck away from this person right now. And so I crossed the street, I continue down, and I was already freaked out. And so then there's a 7-Eleven on the corner, like literally the block across the street from my hotel. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into 7-Eleven. I'm going to get like a soda and a snack. And then I'm just going to go back to my room and I'm going to sit. I'm going to wait before I pack, whatever. So I go into the 7-Eleven, and that was the next mistake I made. This was the grossest 7-Eleven I've ever been in my life. It was filled with, again, black people who kind of looked like they were on drugs. And to create a long story short, I ended up getting accosted by a fucking black person in this 7-Eleven to the point where I was like basically running out of it and like ran back to my hotel room. And this really freaked me the fuck out. I've never had something happen to it's not like I have no experience traveling to cities. I used to travel to cities like all the time. But like I have not had the experience of being like a white girl in a fucking dingy 7-Eleven that's across the street from a really nice fucking hotel that I get accosted by a black person in the fucking 7-Eleven. Just out of fucking nowhere. I was like, what the fuck? And so I basically like ran back to my hotel, and I'm in like full on fight or flight at this point. I'm just like, what the fuck just happened to me? And I was like mad at myself, and I was like, you were stupid for doing this in the first place. What the fuck were you thinking? And this is just something like I always like anytime I go to a city, I always walk around the city. It's just always been my tradition. And in this case, I really, really, really shouldn't have done it. So I go back to my hotel. My adrenaline is rushing because I just got fucking accosted in a goddamn 7-Eleven. And I like sit down, and like my whole body's like like that. Like I had no energy. And then had my computer sitting right in front of me, and I opened Discord, and I DM BigTech, and I said, "You're gonna be really proud of me because Detroit has just made me 100% more racist," or something like that. I said to him, like, "Detroit is making me more racist," essentially, just to try to bring some levity to the situation. Well, he ignored that entirely, and he instead started continuing the argument from the previous night. And that was all he was focused on, was the fact that, like, I didn't agree with him from last night and he was going to keep fighting with me. And so he keeps the fight going. And I'm just like I had no energy at this point. I was just like, what the fuck is even going on? And I typed back to him. I was like, "Oh, we're still fighting. Okay." And it was one of those things where I was like, I just didn't care. And so he kept coming at me, and I just kept like responding, and however I responded, I don't think I was being like especially mean or anything. And he got pissed off at me again. And this is like 15 minutes after I just been accosted, right? And he's trying to start a fight with me over something stupid. And so then he says to me, because I'm not engaging in this fight that he wants me to be in, he says to me, "You're so annoying that you make me want to kill myself." And I responded to that. I was like, "Okay, fine, whatever." And then he said, "I'm telling you to leave me the fuck alone." And I was like, and this is not the first time he's spoken to me like this. And it was that moment where I was like, I've had enough. I've had enough of this. I am not the stupid fucking girl, or excuse me, the smart girl that's going to pretend to be stupid at math to get the boy to approve of me. That is not going to fucking happen. And so then I messaged him back and I said, "This isn't fun anymore. I'm out. No one speaks to me like this." And basically, like, laying down the law, like, this is not fucking acceptable. And then I logged out of Discord and I didn't log back in for like 2 days. Not that he didn't have other ways to get in touch with me, because he does if he wants to, but that's the only way that he seems to think that, he can get in touch with me, which is fine. But like, I just didn't want to, I did not want to engage in it anymore. I had just been accosted by a fucking black person in the 7-Eleven. I was hours away from going to AFPAC, which I was really fucking nervous for. I was completely fucking spent at this point. He was trying to argue with me. He told me to fuck off. He told me to leave him the fuck alone. So I was like, you know what? Fucking fine. So I log out of Discord for 2 days. In the midst of that, I go to AFPAC, and I had an awesome time at AFPAC. Like, it was fucking great. Like, I loved the Groypers I met. I thought that they were all so nice to me. None of them were irredeemable incels. Like he had been telling me for like weeks leading up to this. He's like, "Carlin, you're gonna see all of Nick's fans are like, they're short, brown, fat incels with little dicks that can't get laid." And I was like, and I walk in and I see, like, are they young men? Yeah, they're young men for the most part. There's mostly young men there, but a lot of them are like not short. Like, some of them are short, but some of them are not short. Like most of them, they're just normal. They're normal looking young men. There's nothing wrong with these people. They're not incels. And they were really nice and they were really sweet and they treated me really well. And even people I had beef with in the past, everyone was getting along. And so I had a great time at the event downtown. And then I had a great time. Like, we went back to the Airbnb, like one of the Airbnbs, and we're just hanging out and having beers. I had a great time there. I loved every single person I met. It was just awesome. And so I actually had a really, like, even with Nick's event getting shut down, even with the whole like Superman punch heard around the world at the club, and even with, like, it was awesome. And I have nothing bad to say about it. And that's the truth. And people can think I'm simping for Nick all you want. Like, that's just the truth. I had a great fucking time. Well, this was not the experience that BigTech wanted me to have. And so, like, and by the way, he had told me to go to AFPAC. When I got the invitation to be a VIP at AFPAC, I didn't think I was going to go. And there were a lot of reasons for it, but like overall, I was like, this is gonna be a really uncomfortable situation for me to be in. I'm a girl. There are so many people who dislike me. Like, is this really something I want to do? And so I had actually gone to him and I said, like basically, what do you think? Should I go? And he said, yes, you should absolutely go. Same thing with Adam Green, by the way. I asked Adam Green about this. Like, what do you think about this? Yeah, you should definitely go, Carlin. You should absolutely go. Well, now my understanding, or what I suspect happened, is that he thought that I was going to have a shitty time at AFPAC, and he thought that that all of the things that he had said to me were going to be confirmed. He thought that I was going to hate the Groypers. He thought that I was going to like he basically told me to go because he wanted to prove something to me about Nick and prove something to me about the Groypers and like potentially like what I really think he wanted was to use me against Nick because BigTech hates Nick. He does. He hates Nick. He hates the people involved with Nick. He hates all of them. And he is like to the point of being like borderline obsessed about this, which is retarded. But so what I think what went on was like, first of all, it really rubs me the wrong way that someone told me to go to an event hoping that I would have a negative experience. That really fucking rubs me the wrong way. I look back to like when I went to the Trump rally in 2020, and I remember being really nervous, like being like the Democrat that went to the Trump rally or whatever, because like I'd never been to an event like that. And I was really nervous. And I was like, I was thinking about this. I was like, could you imagine what would happen if if someone had said, yeah, Carlin, you should really go to the Trump rally because they thought that Republicans were going to be mean to me and they thought that Republicans were going to have a bad experience. He literally fucking told me to go to an event that he thought I would have a bad experience at so that he could use me in some sort of revenge thing against Nick and the Groypers. And that really pisses me off. That really pisses me off because I've been used by people before and I don't fucking like it. Well, turns out he didn't get his wish. Turns out I had a great experience. Turns out the Groypers started flirting with me on Twitter. And you know what? Listen, man, I've never had the experience of having like young men treat me like the sexy teacher that they're like flirting with. That's actually kind of fun. It's funny. Like I'm not gonna get into an illicit romance with any of the like I'm married and they know that and it's just all playing around. But like that's actually kind of like it's a funny thing and I'm enjoying it and I'm bantering with the Groypers and all this stuff. Well, let me show you, and I promise we are going to get into the real show, but I'm working out some feelings. I'm working out some feelings here. Let me show you what happened on BigTech stream on Monday. Now, I want people to keep in mind that he and I had been communicating on Discord. He and I, like, he had an open line to say anything he wanted to say to me in private. And the impression that that I had gotten through our communications was that maybe things were going to get just like that he was going to like so basically I logged out of Discord after I told him that I was just out and I didn't go back for 2 days. And when I logged in on Monday evening, he had sent me like 4 messages in Discord, like respond that I just didn't see. But by the time I had logged back in to see them, he had deleted our entire messaging history. So I logged into Discord and I saw like the notifications that he had sent me messages, but I couldn't actually see what they were because he had deleted our entire months-long messaging history. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, you don't trust me. And you think I'm going to use the messaging history against you, which, by the way, there was nothing in that messaging history that could actually be like embarrassing or anything like that. It's just the two of us talking back and forth. There was no sort of sexting or anything like that went on. I want people to know that. But like, there was nothing like, and so like, I saw that he had deleted our entire messaging history and I was like, oh, he's projecting to me that I shouldn't trust him because he doesn't trust me enough to believe that I'm not going to use the messaging history against him when PS I had told him that anything that's said to me in private stays in private. I do not reveal private messages unless I'm put into a position where I have to. And I still, and even like with me telling you guys some like basic things that have gone on, I still feel like I've kept to that. You guys don't actually know some of the things we were talking about. You just know the basic maison scène. So he did that. I was really pissed off about that because I was like, oh, wow, he never trusted me in the first place. Fine. I guess I shouldn't be. But then we started talking back and forth, and it kind of seemed like maybe when I said to him, don't talk to me like this, I kind of felt that like maybe he got it, that it was just like, maybe he can talk to other women like that. I don't know, but it just wasn't going to work for me. And, my impression of it was that things were just like softening out and maybe we'll be a little cautious, but like if we can just get to a place where he's not screaming at me and not calling me names and not saying like, Carlin, like I expect you to just like take whatever I say, like blah blah blah, and just like, accept it or whatever. I was like, maybe this can still be a productive thing. So he had a way to get in touch with me. He had a way to talk to me. And this is what he chose to do instead. So let's watch his stream. This is a stream from Tuesday evening. And I didn't see this stream at the time. I didn't see it until Wednesday. But I heard about it because the minute that he started doing this stream and he started talking about me, people are in my inbox saying BigTech saying this and that and the other thing. So let's just see what he actually said. This is his reaction to me having a good time with the Groypers.
Carlin's being part of something. She's got her wish. The Groypers are simping for the Carlin. She has me like a Pisces when she's blowing kisses at them. I've been locked inside your heart-shaped box. So this is happening. And I gotta let her go. I've been drawn into your magnet. I gotta let her go for now. All right. I wish I could eat your cancer when you we gotta let Carlin go. She's primed, okay? It's, stage 1 complete. And we don't gotta spell it all the way out, but look. She's now on her mission. She's infiltrating.
No, I'm not.
And she will. She will do what Carlin's gonna do.
What he's saying and the impression that he's trying to give here is that I'm infiltrating the Groypers and that something is going to, and I'm infiltrating Nick's inner circle because I had a good time at AFPAC and the Groypers treated me well. And so what he's trying to give the impression here is that I'm doing something to infiltrate them to really like fuck things up. And that's not true. And we're going to talk about that more, but that's what he's doing with this. And I don't fucking appreciate it.
Just think about that for a minute. I've introduced you to Carlin. We know what she's about. Now she's going to do what she's going to do. And we're going to be here waiting and watching on the sidelines. We're not going to be part of it. Okay? What she's going to do with the Groypers, we're not going to be part of it. It's going to be cool. But we're going to let her do her thing. We're going to watch and enjoy. We're going to be nice to her, even though she's, what it looks like.
And by the way, his entire chat was shit talking me the entire time. And I will say, he said, we're going to be nice to her. We're going to be nice to her. Fine. His entire chat was, well, not me, not all of them, but like people in his chat were shit talking me the entire time.
What it looks like is that she's shunned my advice. What you could say is that it looks like, and that she's joined up with Nick. And she's giving her energy to the Groypers, right? That's what it could look like. Don't treat it like that. I don't want any of you guys to treat it that way. Carlin's on a mission.
No, I'm not.
Right?
No, I'm not. No.
And she knows it.
Really? Tell me what it is.
Not exactly.
Exactly.
But also she totally knows.
No, I don't, bro. No, I don't.
So she's right where she belongs. She's cozying up to the crew over there. And that's perfect. You go, girl. You go, girl. Perfect. So we'll wait for that to. We'll just let that simmer. We'll just let that cook, as they say. You know what I mean? Think about it. Think about that. What's that cooking up over there? What kind of outcome are we cooking up? Did I play any part in that? Did I meet a girl who's sort of like the type who, when you tell her to do something, it makes her want to do the opposite? And I told her, don't do it. Told her, don't do it. It's dangerous. It won't work out.
He's trying to make this seem like and first of all, he fucking told me to go to AFPAC. So he needs to not fucking pretend that he was just doing some reverse mind fuck on me. He told me to go to AFPAC. But beyond that, I am not cozying up to Nick and the Groypers for any reason having to do with him. I started being friendly with Nick before I even knew who BigTech was. And I never stopped being friendly with Nick. There was not a moment, even amongst all the drama with Beardson and Wurzelroot and Politically Provoked and all that bullshit, there was not one single moment between October 7th and now that I stopped being friendly with Nick. I have been on Nick's side this entire fucking time. And so for him to come in and say, Carlin, I told you not to get involved with Nick because that's going to be a really bad idea. But I did it because I wanted you to do the opposite because I'm doing some reverse mindfuck thing. There was never, ever, 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 ever a moment in which I'm only getting involved with Nick to be rebellious against what he fucking told me.
It's a bad idea. And I said, but do what you want. But I wouldn't if I was you. And what can you expect that she'll do?
Cag Mike just gifted 1 subscription on Kick.
Thanks, Cag.
Yeah. We were streaming Nick content
For
long
Austin
before
Supply, you
anyone
here?
knew who he
I ain't
was.
seen you yet. Oh, you was here. Let's go. Nice. You caught a sub from the Cag. From the Cagmeister.
This had nothing to do with you.
So, yeah, I mean, look. The absolute best agent is the one that doesn't even know they are one. But she does know. I'm not saying I'm using
Go
her.
fuck
I'm not
yourself.
saying don't say mind rape, okay? Don't start saying mind rape, okay? Don't start saying that. I hate it when you guys say that. I didn't do a reverse psychology on her. There wasn't any kind of covert motive. That's all bullshit. Don't say that. It's not true. Don't post that. Don't say that. It's not true. It's not. It's true. Platypoo's the real puppet master. If anybody's pulling strings around here, it's Platypoo. That's real.
Anyway, that's basically what happened on his stream. And you got to understand, it's not that he gets like a metric ton of views on his stream, but what happens in this little sphere eventually makes it around to everyone. So he knew I was going to find out about this. He probably knew I was going to find out about this relatively quickly, even though I wasn't watching it live. And he also knows that other people are going to find out about this. And he is explicitly putting a message out there to make it seem like I'm doing some fucking infiltration thing with the Groypers and that he manipulated me into doing it because I'm just a stupid, dumb woman. After all, I can't make any of my decisions for myself. Has to be because a man made the decision for me. And that's why he's doing this. So yesterday, when I should have been streaming, the reason there was no stream yesterday is I was basically messaging with him in Discord saying, what the fuck was that about? Because unlike him, I'm going to handle something privately before I take it publicly. And I'm going to try to make sure I do whatever I can. You know, he at some point, and I don't remember if it was in this stream or another conversation, but he basically talks about how like he had said to me that, you know, I'm known for creating conflict with people, but what he doesn't know and what most people don't know is that if I have conflict with someone publicly, it's going to be because I tried to handle it privately. I tried to handle it privately for a really fucking long time, and it didn't work. In some cases, I literally tried to handle it privately for fucking years. In the case of James Lindsay, I tried to handle this privately for 2 fucking years before there was any conflict publicly at all. And it didn't work. And so yesterday, when I should have been streaming, I was trying to handle this privately with him to be like, what the fuck was this all about? And essentially what came out of that conversation is, Carlin, I can't talk to you if you're being friendly with the Groypers. That's his perspective. He is pissed off that I went to AFPAC, that by some miracle, the Groypers actually like me. The Groypers had fun with me. The Groypers then continued to flirt with me on Twitter afterwards because they liked me. He was pissed off that Beardson liked me, and Dalton didn't even meet me, but Dalton liked me before this. He was pissed off that no one had an issue with me, and that everyone in Nick's kind of sphere was saying, yeah, Carlin was actually really cool at this event. Which again, no one was shocked by this situation more than me. I did not expect, this was not on my bingo card. But you know what? If I have the chance to make allies on the internet, and by the way, I enjoy those allies. Like, I think the Groypers are actually hilarious. I think they're legitimately hilarious. I think that they're good people. Like, I love this banter thing that's going on right now. I even have positive relationships with Mio and Brittany right now, at least for the moment, and God knows that may not last. But like, I fucking think with the amount of bullshit that I have been through on the internet, I deserve to have positive relationships with a group of people for once. And you know what? Maybe it will all go south. I don't know. But what I do know is that I've had a positive relationship with Nick Fuentes since October 7th. Actually, even before that, because Nick was following me on his other Twitter accounts even before October 7th. So that even started up before. But like, I have had nothing but a good relationship with Nick Fuentes. And there may be other people in the Nick Fuentes sphere, like Lucas Gage, and that's a situation that I'm handling next week, that have given me shit and given me grief. But that has nothing to do with my relationship with Nick at all. And it is my genuine desire that I don't want to be on the internet fighting with people right now. There are people that have like, there are people that have made my life really difficult for several years. And I just don't like, if I have things in common with people and I have goals in common with people, and quite frankly, the goal right now of Nick Fuentes and the Groypers is a full frontal assault on the conservative movement. Yo, I'm fucking living for it. Because the biggest hindrance that I have for the things I care about is not Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. They're part of the solution so far as I'm concerned. The biggest hindrance I have to achieving goals that I care about, that I've been working towards for years, is the goddamn conservative right. Because they are the ones, quite frankly, that are making it more difficult for me to do this. The conservative right are the ones that make it so hard to fight the radical revolutionary far left. And so if I can align with people who hate the conservative right as much as I do, who want to destroy the conservative establishment, who want to rebuild it in their own image. And I don't agree with everything that Nick stands for, but I do actually think that some of his ideas are interesting, and I do think that some of his ideas are a net positive over what the conservative right is currently doing. Then you know what? You put on your big boy pants and you work with people that you might align with on some issues, even if you don't align on all of them. And right now, and he might not like this, and I don't really give a fuck if he likes it or not, but Nick Fuentes is the only person in the country that is in a position to actually remake the conservative right. He has all these young people on his side. He's got all these people at Turning Point that are now looking at him and kind of listening to his message. Like, I think it's going to catch on more than people think it is, and I think it already is. The fact that Nick was able to get like 500 people out to an impromptu rally outside of Turning Point on no notice, that like, you can't do that. I'm sorry. I did walkaway rallies for 6 months, every single weekend, all over the country for 6 months. There were barely 100 people that showed up at any of those rallies, except for the one in Beverly Hills. That was the biggest by far. But Nick Fuentes, any single day of the week, can turn out more people than at any walkaway rally that I ever spoke at in 2020, and that is just a fact. So not only do I personally enjoy Nick Fuentes, not only do I personally have no problem with him, not only do I think he's funny, I think he's smart, I think he's doing extremely nuanced commentary, not only do I enjoy the Groypers and bantering with the Groypers, but I actually think it is the most productive disruption that can take place on the conservative right. And if there isn't a productive disruption on the conservative right, that leads to something that I care about. And none of this has anything to do with him. And he wants to make it seem like I was his puppet. And he was using me to infiltrate the Groypers and to go off on the Groypers and to cause disruption for Nick. Go fuck yourself, Mike. Honest to God. Go fuck yourself. I was never anything but nice to this guy. And to have him put this stream out without talking to me, like, I felt completely thrown under the bus. Completely. And it's just like, you know what? And after what happened in Detroit, where he got all pissed off that I didn't want to talk to him anymore after he told me, you are so annoying, you make me want to kill myself. Leave me the fuck alone. Well, I left him the fuck alone, and then he got all fucking butthurt about it and pissed off and tried to do this thing where he's making it look like I'm infiltrating Nick and the Groypers to try to cause problems for me. Not fucking cool. And the reason I know that he's all butthurt about Nick and the Groypers, and we're going to get to real content soon, I promise, is yesterday, him and Adam Green did a whole Twitter space calling AFPAC DocsPAC and complaining about it, and he's lying about what happened. Like, I was fucking there. He is lying to his audience about what happened at AFPAC. He and Adam Green are cooking up this whole thing where apparently now him and Adam Green think that their biggest obstacle to getting people to leave Christianity is Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. And so now instead of just putting messaging out there, instead of Adam Green just focusing on the messaging that he's been doing, which, by the way, I actually agree with Adam Green on things, but you know what I'm not in favor of? I'm not in favor of Adam Green and fucking BigTech. Oh, I am. Oh, huh? I am? Oh, wow. You're banned. Goodbye. Any BigTech fans want to show themselves? I don't give a fuck. If Adam Green and BigTech want to do this thing where they're going to make it seem like Nick Fuentes and the Groypers are the biggest obstacle they have to getting people to leave Christianity and acknowledge that Christianity is just like was created by the Jews in order to control the Gentiles, that's fucking retarded. That is the most retarded thing in the world. And you know what? If Adam Green and BigTech just focused on messaging out and talking about why they believe what they do, you'd have no problem with me. The problem is that they're now focusing their entire energy on this like fucking imaginary energy because they're pissed off at Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. So they can do whatever they want. I've been nothing but nice to them, and I'm done. I am done. And so that's how I feel about it. He wants to throw a hissy fit, and he wants to say, I can't talk to you because the Groypers are being nice to you, Carlin. Well, you know, true colors shown, bro. True colors shown. Anyway, that is all I have on that issue, and I wanted to update people because I quite frankly, like, I really regret doing the stream last week where I told everyone, like, you know, just let it go, all this stuff. And I shouldn't have done that. And that was a lesson for me. And this is one of those times where, like, I was too fucking nice. And we are now moving on from this era, and we are refocusing back on things that I actually care about. Thank you, Rottweiler. I forgot about your super chat. I apologize. Rottweiler says, I think I was right when I said he's still stuck in his teen resentment phase and that he's a man-child with racial victim complex called it. Yeah, I wish you were wrong, but I don't think you are. No. Here's the thing. I don't want anyone to go after him. I don't want anyone to call him names. I don't want anyone to do anything. Because the fact is that he is over on Kick. He is not relevant in the worlds that I'm in. And I strongly suspect that we just won't hear from him anymore, because I don't think that his ideas about going after Nick Fuentes and the Groypers are going to do anything but be like a minor annoyance at best. So let's just move on. Well, BigTech has made it very clear to me that he does not intend to finish part 4 of the documentary and that he cannot communicate with me at all as long as the Groypers like me. This is literally the conversation I had with him yesterday. So if you you need to take this up with him, because I tried to figure out a way to work civilly with him. And what I got from him, Map, was, Carlin, I can't communicate with you when the Groypers like you. And I was like, what the fuck do you want me to do about that? I didn't expect this. How should I have handled this? And I got nothing. So if you have an issue, go take it up with him.
family or people.
Hang on. See, and this is the problem with what Big Tech did. And this is why I had to address it publicly. Because now, because of the stream that Big Tech did, making it seem like I'm being some sort of manipulated puppet, and that the only reason that I'm going like with Nick and the Groypers is because I'm some sort of spy. This is the question that's going to be asked, which is exactly what Big Tech wanted when he did that stream the other day. Is it true you're pretending to cozy up to Nick and the Groypers as a spy? No. People are talking about it in a group chat, and you've always seemed open and honest, so I figured I ask. Tell the people in a group chat that there is absolutely no truth to the fact that I'm cozying up to Nick and the Groypers as a spy. I have been cool with Nick since right after October 7th, and even before that, to be honest about it. And I genuinely enjoyed my time at AppPack. I genuinely enjoyed my time with the Groypers. My community would know, because I would have told them in private that if I was cozying up to them. But this is the fucking problem with what Big Tech did. And this is why he did it. And this is like so fucking not cool. I can't even say. Like, for once, for the first time in years, literally goddamn years, I have people on the internet that I think are hilarious, that I think are correct in what they're doing, that I think are effective in what they're doing. I don't agree with Nick and the Groypers on everything. I have some very strong disagreements with them, but by and large, they are going in the direction that I want things to go in, because they want to burn down the conservative movement and rebuild it in their image, and I'm on board with that, man. I really am. The conservative movement is one of the biggest hindrances to all of us getting what we want. And the fact that by some miracle, I was able to have like a really positive experience at AFPAC, even with all of the nonsense, even with the event getting canceled and the VIP thing getting, us getting kicked out of that venue. I was able to have a really positive experience with everyone I met. I liked everyone I met. I had a good time. I had no issue with anything until some asshole started spread that I trusted. And like, listen, man, I was never going to choose between Big Tech and Nick Fuentes. I said this from the very beginning. I was not going to choose between the two of them. I knew they had beef. I knew they didn't like each other, fine. But I was always taking the position, I'm not going to choose. I like Big Tech. I like Nick. I wasn't involved in any of their beef. I wasn't going to choose until Big Tech forced me into a position of needing to, when he did a stream making it seem like a puppet master spy. I am married, so I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I will not be going out on a date with Beardson, no, because I am married, but I'm sure that Beardson will be able to find a very nice girl. I thought Beardson had a girlfriend or something.